Hey everyone, how's it going? I have not made any kind of YouTube videos in a while. It's something I've always wanted to try and start doing, just to share my experience of the stuff I do and work on. And that being said, I guess we'll start with my 1986 F350. I got some work I got to do to it, and I figured good way to start off trying to make videos again is to start with this. I will do a little slideshow of some pictures of the truck, of what it looked like when I bought it, during when I had it, and then I was in an accident with it probably, I think it was 5 years ago, and I decided to, instead of total it and get rid of it, I'm going to rebuild it. So, backstory on the truck, it's a 1986 Ford F350. It was originally a single rear wheel truck. It went to a conversion company, Centurion, and they converted it to dually, put a turbo on it, and did some other stuff to it. So it is a 6.9 liter International IDI, has a Banks turbo on it. I yanked the engine out, and I did not a rebuild, but I put new gaskets in it, had to put new oil pan on it. And I also got a different turbo for it, still a Banks turbo, but a different one than the original turbo that was in it. So pulled that out, and the automatic, got rid of the automatic, put a 5-speed in it. Eventually it's going to be swapped over to 4-wheel drive. So what I'm going to be working on today is I have some new hardware in this bag. I got to bolt the transmission cross member in to the truck. It's kind of just sitting there, so I got to bolt it in, tighten everything up. The engine mount bolts also need tightened, and then got to do some other stuff like put the starter back in it, new battery cables, turbo rebuild, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys stick around and see the truck get running and driving again. I guess I'll start off by doing a quick little walk around, at least to this side. I put a new front end on it. I have radiator support and everything. The front end I got for it was rust free. The original front clip was rusted. So I got a new front end, new hood. I got a new fuel tank, all from a parts truck. So those are going to go on the front end. Tank's going to go in the truck. And then eventually I got to get another bed for it, because as you see, the bed is rusty above the dually fender. I got another tailgate for it. A different bumper for the rear. Eventually I'm going to get some aluminum wheels for it, Alcoas or something like that. It did have exhaust that came out right before the front tire. That got destroyed in the accident. I'm going to put stacks in the bed. The inside has kind of just been like storage, since I haven't been doing too much with it. I have another steering column. I put that steering column in it, but the tilt steering in it does not work properly. So I found another steering column, and I'm going to put it in because the tilt steering works, and it has the piece that's missing off of that column there. So I got to do that. Eventually I got to cut a hole in the floor for the shifter. I still have a lot of parts I got to order for it. There's going to be a roof console that goes in the top there. I have one of those for it. Captain's chairs here in the front. I also have a bench seat to replace the one that's in the rear. I have one of the ones that folds down into a bed. So I have that that's going to go in the truck. Like I said, captain's chairs. I got to get all of those reupholstered because they're in rough shape. And then once the captain's chairs are in, I'm going to put I'm going to build myself a wooden center console for in the middle that holds some gauges, like underneath the where the ashtray is. Instead of using the ashtray, I'm going to form the console up to there, put some gauges or switches or something in there. A lot of work that's going to be getting done to this truck, but it's going to be over periods of time because, you know, as everybody knows, money is not growing on trees. Okay, so now we're under the truck. Like I said, as you can see, the cross member is kind of just sitting in here. I thought I had all the bolts I needed. Turns out I didn't, so I got some, and hopefully we can make this happen. Okay, so we are still underneath the truck here, getting the bolts put in. I had to use I used 2 of the new bolts and nuts down here and over here. Unfortunately, because the cab is right up against, not right up, there's a gap up here. You can see there's a gap up there, but it's not enough to get them bolts out. So them bolts were still good, so were the nuts, so I just reused those. And with anything, when putting it back together, I always use Loctite. It's a really good thing to do, especially when you're in Pennsylvania. Everything gets rusty. As you can see, I got some rust I got to do to the truck to get everything sealed up. I'm gonna have to do some rust repairs. There's a lot of stuff I got to fix on this. The guy I bought it from, it came from New Jersey, and I don't know if he did it or somebody else did, but like there's an electric fuel pump here that's not even hooked up to anything anymore. You can see the ground is there, but the wire's cut and it's not hooked up. I mean, there's certain things I gotta take off and button up and take care of. So that's all stuff to come in videos. I'm going to finish. I got the top 2 cross member bolts here tightened. The bottom one is tightened. And then these 2, those 2, and I just got 3 more, 2 up top, 1 down below. And then all the transmission cross member bolts are tightened in. And then I'll go up to the engine and do that. And then I'm probably going to put the starter in, because the starter's still out of it. So I'm probably gonna bolt the starter into it and go from there. Okay, I got everything tightened up, top and bottom of both sides, and also these 2. And everything has been anti-seized, and everything has locking nuts on it, so I don't have to worry about anything coming apart. So everything is anti-seized and tightened up. Cross member, well, the transmission mount is tightened on the bottom and on the top on the transmission. That's good. So the next thing we're going to do is get all the tools out from underneath the truck, pull the light. I brought a light out here, and going to go up front and got to tighten up engine mounts. I never tightened up those when I dropped the engine in the truck. It's been a year. I've had a lot going on as far as work and stuff, so now I'm finally got some spare time, so I'm going to try and get the truck on the road. My goal is to get it all put back together and driving by August. I go to a tractor show at a museum called Rough and Tumble Engineers Historical Association over in Kinser, Pennsylvania. And my goal is to have this truck haul everything down to that show for me. So I got a lot of work to do to get this truck ready to go. Okay, well, I got the bolts all tightened up. Well, the 2 nuts that hold the transmission, or I'm sorry, the engine mounts to the frame, I got those tightened down. The bolts that go from the engine mounts to the engine itself, they're tightened on both sides. Everything's good. Now I'm gonna start making a list as far as what I need to do to get the engine ready to go. Because I'm going to try and at least fire the engine up without the turbo on it. Because that ain't gonna hurt nothing. I'm gonna fire it up without the turbo on it, but I got to make a list. So I'm gonna get my notebook and pen, because I got to get stuff like I don't know who did this return line setup, but I'm gonna do something a little different, I believe. So there's gonna be new return line set up. I'm gonna get a return line kit to replace all the O-rings and caps and hoses, because God only knows when that was done. I got to remove some parts that were for, like, whatever. I forget. I think that was the kickdown for the transmission. I can't remember, but I know it's not needed anymore since I put the manual in. And then your like throttle position sensor, but it was a vacuum powered one. They're getting really hard to find. This one's still good, so I'm going to sell that, because a lot of people still look for those for them automatics. But I got to get, you know, new hoses to go from certain places and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be just making up a list as far as what I need to get the engine running. I still got to put oil and stuff in it, and then I got to get stupid stuff like this fuel pump, mechanical pump doesn't do nothing anymore, so I got to get a block off plate for that. It's got that little fuel pump on there. That was on there when I got it. Seems to work okay, but I'm going to do something different. I got to get new battery cables, because these ones they're junk. So I'm going to get new battery cables and like I gotta fix this plug here. I don't know what happened, but they spliced into it, and yeah, that's part of that. This goes into that fuse, and then the plug itself is down there. Something happened with that plug and it broke. So I'm just gonna redo the whole plug for it, and yeah, we're gonna redo the whole plug and just put a whole new connector on it. Try and clean some wiring up, make this look a little better. That'll be in a different video. Thanks for watching.